the Walther CCP M2 versus the PPS M2. Let's check it out. Walther has a huge reputation for quality and have been making firearms for decades. One of the things though that's kind of unique about Walther is they seem to have two different style pistols that they offer. Whether in their full-size pistols like the P99 or the PPQ. Here we have the CCP, which follows along with the PPQ. Then we have the PPS, which follows more in line with the P99. There are a lot of differences between these pistols to the point that it's almost like they're made from two totally different firearm companies. But we're going to take a look at the similarities, the differences, and which one might be best for you, especially for a concealed carry option. And I want to thank GunProDeals for sponsoring this video. While they didn't send either one of these pistols, I do get a lot of handguns and rifles from GunProDeals. It's a great resource, and so check them out. I just released my review of the PPS M2 on GetZone.com, and it is an exclusive video that will only be shown on GetZone. In the Such Zone on GetZone, and I do have a number of videos that I upload there every month. So here we have the PPS M2 and the CCP M2, totally different looking firearms. The grips are a little related obviously to one another, and that's really the only thing that's similar to the two handguns as far as the looks. Now we're going to go ahead and drop our magazine, make sure the gun is unloaded. We do have one of the extended magazines here. This is the 7-round, and then here on the CCP it comes with an 8-round magazine. And that is one of the differences between the two. But the CCP does come with an extra 8-round magazine, and then the PPS comes with a 6-round magazine. And so here you've got a little bit of a better concealed carry option. With the 6-round magazine, you've got this lip hanging down on the CCP, but this does give you 2 extra rounds. And so that is something to consider. Now, if we drop the 6-rounder and put in the 7-round magazine, they're pretty much the same. Now here on the end, it's a 3.2-inch barrel compared to a 3.5-inch barrel on the CCP. So you're going to get a little bit of hangover here. But really, apples to apples, these are very close to size. And you can get an 8-round magazine that will extend it just a little more. Now one of the things about the grip, which the grip again is pretty close to the same, but there are differences in texturing. Here with the CCP M2, it's a lot more aggressive than the PPS M2, but also it's a lot thicker. You can see that the grip itself is considerably thicker. One of the things about the PPS is that it doesn't get any thicker coming down, in fact maybe even thinner. And guys, when you have these in your hand, you can definitely feel the difference. This is a very thin handgun. This actually gives you a little more feeling of your hand. Now both have cocked striker indicators. With the CCP, it is in red, and then the PPS is in black. It does come out just a touch on the CCP, but when we pull the trigger, you'll notice that they disappear. This does not mean that the gun is loaded or unloaded, it just means that the striker is in the cocked position. So on the CCP, you've got a little bit of a nub right there so you can tell that it's cocked. And when you pull the trigger, again, it just disappears. Here with the PPS, there is no indication, but when you pull the trigger, it actually extends out. I had one guy tell me that when he is holstering his firearm, he puts his thumb over the striker so he can feel in case this is inadvertently hit with the trigger. On the PPS M2, there is no accessory rail. On the original PPS, there is one slot. Here on the CCP, we have 3 Picatinny rail sections. The trigger guard is squared off, whereas on the PPS, it's rounded. And the CCP does have a frame safety, which the PPS does not. The sights on the PPS are metal, while on the CCP they are polymer. And they are a 3-dot. One of the things I really like about the PPS is a very bright 3-dot system. On the CCP, they're fairly dim. Now, while both have front and rear cocking serrations, on the CCP, the slide is a Cerakote finish, so it's almost a little bit of a semi-gloss sheen to it. With the PPS, it's a tenifer finish, and it has a real matte anodized finish on it. The serrations are good and strong on both. The mag release on both, they do eject the magazine very well, and they can be switched to the other side. The slide stop on the PPS is really close to the frame, whereas on the PP it does stick out just a little bit even though it is protected. And you'll notice on the trigger that we have a trigger safety right here that we don't have on the CCP, and mainly because this is more of like a double action trigger. Let's check the trigger pull action on the CCP. Have a little bit of take up, then it's fairly spongy right there and it stacks. And then we have our brake. But the reset is really long, all the way to there. With the PPS, we have a little bit of take up. We have a little bit of resistance right at first, and then a nice crisp brake. Reset right there. It is a quicker reset, and at the range you can definitely feel the difference. All right, let's check the trigger pull weight with our Lyman trigger gauge from Brownells. 5 pounds 12 ounces, 5 pounds 3.6 ounces, 5 pounds 5.5 ounces. With the CCP, 4 pounds 7.6 ounces, 4 pounds 15.8 ounces, 4 pounds 14.7 ounces. And guys, actually when firing these two side by side, the PPS was much faster. Because the reset was quicker, and I found myself, if I wasn't careful, I didn't let out enough to hit that reset on a couple of times. So I had to really allow my finger to go forward with the trigger on the CCP, where on the PPS I could fire it really fast. Now there is a difference in pulling back the slide on the PPS and the CCP. On the PPS, the slide just comes back like any of your typical 9mm single stack firearms. With the CCP, because of the blowback action, the spring is actually lighter. And so we can bring that back really easily. I think that makes this an excellent candidate for those who have weaker hand strength. A lot of times, you know, especially new shooters or people that aren't used to pulling this slide back, they can have a little bit of difficulty getting hold of a regular slide. But with the CCP, it is so easy to pull back. I want to thank Fiocchi USA for sponsoring the ammo, all made right here in America. Good shooting stuff. Now sometimes it's difficult to tell, you know, with the camera, but as far as the experience on the range, the CCP was definitely a flatter shooting handgun. It wasn't a huge difference, but it was enough to where you could really tell. I mean, I was able to keep this a lot more level than I was the PPS. But guys, to be honest with you, the PPS is still a very flat shooting handgun in itself, especially for 9mm, being a single stack, very thin, you know, handgun that's perfect for concealed carry. So it really goes to what you're looking for. One of the things though about the CCP M2 is because of the soft coil recoil system, it does get a little warm after shooting a lot of rounds, but not too warm, you know, on regular days. If you're shooting 400 or 500 rounds through the CCP, it's going to get pretty hot. Guys, there's two different ways to look at this. With the larger grip, the thicker grip, you know, it does give you a little more to feel your hand. And so when shooting it, it's going to give you a little more confidence. But with the PPS, the thinner grip is going to lend itself a little better to concealed carry, in my opinion. Really close to the body, it feels thinner. And again, even though the slides are the same thickness, the grip does kind of get a little thicker, and when you're carrying concealed, it could possibly print quicker than the PPS M2. But you know, it's really a matter of choice, and the differences are fairly minimal. But buddy, you put these in your hand and you know that you've got two completely different thicknesses with these handguns. But one thing with the PPS, it's not quite as aggressive as the CCP. And so that also gives it a little more confidence. The reliability on both was excellent. The accuracy, which we've done on the first reviews, I mean, they're just pretty much the same. I will say though that the PPS trigger is superior, like we've shown, than the CCP, and that definitely makes a difference, especially when you're trying to get those second and third follow-up shots. Now, one of the big things though, to me, that was a kind of a detractor with the CCP is that long takeout. So you're having to release your finger out at a greater distance to be able to re-engage the sear. That was one of the things about the CCP that I didn't like as much as the PPS. It was very consistent and the reset was really short. Now, disassembly of these two handguns is completely different. We're going to go ahead and drop our magazine, check to make sure the gun is unloaded. We're going to pull the trigger, pull down on our pins, and just release the slide. Of course, you have your recoil spring, guide rod, and your barrel. And it is a dual captive recoil spring. With the CCP, the original classic model was very difficult to disassemble. In fact, you had to have a tool to be able to use to disassemble it. With the new CCP, it's been simplified quite a bit. Now, this is a standard blowback action with a fixed barrel. So that makes it totally different. But we're going to go ahead and drop our magazine, check the chamber. Now, this is a toolless takedown. So we're going to go ahead and pull the trigger. We're going to push in right here on this little section. And when we do, we're going to take this little lever and push it like that. And we're pushing that to the right. Once this is in the back position, we're going to bring our slide to the rear position and we're going to lift up, just like this. Now you can see the standard blowback action that you have in a lot of different pistols, including the PPK. And then we have our spring. But here is the big difference, is we have a piston. And this is part of the soft coil technology. And then we have a chamber that's right here under the barrel. And I don't know if you can see that right there. And of course this piston goes into that chamber. There is a hole in the barrel which releases gases and it delays the action from going back. And so thus you can have a lesser weight spring, a recoil spring, and it makes it again softer shooting. And that's the idea behind the soft coil technology. Now, reassembly in reverse order, we're going to place our recoil spring over the barrel, and then we're going to bring it up, and you need to make sure that that piston goes into the cylinder. And so there it goes, a little tricky. But you need to also bring your slide down, just like I've got here. We're going to take our spring, put it right here in this little piece, and then just re-engage right here. And once you re-engage, it locks into place. Now, that's a little bit different, again, than your striker fire system. But that is a whole nother world easier than what it was before. Then with the PPS, we're going to drop in our barrel, recoil spring and guide rod. Bring it over our slide. And we're good to go. So it's a very simple disassembly, very similar to all of your striker fire pistols. Weight on the PPS M2 with a 7-round magazine, 1 pound 5.4 ounces. CCP standard magazine, 1 pound 6.2 ounces. Some advantages and disadvantages of both. With the PPS M2, very thin grip, better trigger action. It's just a really soft, it's actually a fairly soft shooting handgun. You do have a rounded trigger guard, but there's no accessory rail. Sights are a little bit better. I like the brighter sights, but of course you can replace those. It does come with a 6+1, 7+1 magazine, and then of course you can get the 8+1 magazines available as well. With the CCP, the first advantage is this slide. I mean, it's so easy to just bring back. And that is a huge advantage and a big selling point for those, again, with weak hand strength. It is a little bit of a thicker grip, so you're going to have a better grip on the pistol when you're firing. So that's definitely a plus. Plus, you have your Picatinny rail section right here. It does have the 8-in-1 magazine, and you come with 2. And so it's going to give you, just out of the box, 1 extra round, and then actually 2 extra with the 6 round. And then when you go with the 8 round, it's going to be a little bit longer. So super flat, easy to conceal, easy to bring back on the CCP. and with the other accessories. I do like the Tenifer finish on the PPS more than the Cerakote finish, even though the Cerakote finish looks really nice. This should wear better on the Tenifer finish. So there are a few slight differences between the two, and really those differences could be big as far as how you want to conceal carry or if you want to use this for home defense. So guys, whether you're just a big Walther fan or you're just looking for a really good thin concealed carry piece, either the CCP or the PPS M2 is just going to be a good choice. Really, if you have a PPQ already or the P99, these are just no-brainers. They're thin, all the controls are the same, they feel a lot like their bigger brothers. You know, there's a lot of different options out there on the market, but these are two really excellent choices. And again, I want to thank the guys over at GunProDeals for their support of helping keep us on YouTube. They're a great resource if you're looking for a firearm. Prices are right, fast shipping, and just great to deal with. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. Which has a 7+1 magazine and it's 8+1. Yeah. A couple of other, the frame, the trigger guard, and the reset was really, but with the PPS,